Try this again, because earlier the devil wanted to cut me off from letting y'all know the real way to know if a man actually has you as a priority, whether he's got you as a priority or if he's just trying to treat you like an option, like the actual difference. So you don't get out here giving a man your everything when he treats you like you're nothing. And then whenever you ask him for exactly what he presented to you in the very beginning, he act like you're the one that's wrong. Or you asking for too much, or you just don't understand that he's such a busy man. He got a lot going on right now. Like you're not doing a good enough job empathizing with him like a woman should, that you actually hold him accountable for being consistent to the vibe that he introduced you to. Yeah, it's very important to know whether or not a man has you as an option or he has you as a priority. It looked like we may have gotten cut off on YouTube. Too bad. Facebook, look like it's just going to be us rocking because I'm not doing this one over. So glad it's clear. What's up, Toby? But I'm going to start this off the way I did before because I really want to know if I'm talking to anybody. Put I down in the chat if you've ever had a guy sweep you off your feet and then it felt like you were pulling teeth just to get him to catch you. Like he swept you off your feet to let you just hit the ground with inconsistency, neglect, pulling away for no good reason, no viable reason. He may have told you some stuff, but it never sat right. Put I down in the chat if it's ever been that. Like you would have never dealt with this guy if what you got from him throughout the relationship was what he presented in the beginning. Like if you just knew he was going to get to this point where you had to sit there and chase him and act like you had to keep coming to him for a date, a call, basic respect, any type of attention. Or if you got called clingy, doing too much, not understanding. Put I down in the chat if that's ever been you. Vanessa, so that's been you. Antoinette, see, I love when I got some real ones to talk to. So, I was saying this before. Some of y'all missed it, cool. If you didn't, then this is going to be a little review. Last night, I do my weekly live chat with my mentees, okay? These are people that typically get one of my programs or something like that. I always offer myself up to answer more in-depth questions. Where a sister asked me, how could she restore things back to the way they were when the man had her as a priority? And she gave me kind of a list of things that he was doing in the beginning. Now he's not doing them. So in the beginning, it was date nights. It was affirmation. It was good mornings. It was more than just good mornings. It was, I wish you this and I wish you that. After, affirmative messages. All the beautiful things that made her say, let me go ahead and take myself off the dating market and give my attention to this gentleman. Then once you did, all of a sudden, everything else was so much more important. Oh, I got a lot on my mind right now. I'm trying to get to this money. Oh, things ain't this, things ain't that. And what she wanted to know was, how do I end this space, close this window and get back to the version of him that I had before? Like, how do I inspire him back to keeping me as a priority? Like, I just want to know that I matter, like my feelings matter. I told her the same way I'm gonna tell y'all. There is no establishing yourself as a priority for a man who's not doing it himself. Now, the only thing you can do is you can let him know what exactly he's doing that doesn't make you feel as regarded as what you need in order to feel safe in that relationship and continue on. But you cannot, absolutely cannot and should not try to make that man put you as a priority. So I'm going to tell y'all when you know you're a priority, because in this situation, you could also have questions as if you are wanting too much, are you being inconsiderate? Are you not, finding enough fulfillment outside the relationship and all these things? Or is it that this man, maybe he just shows priority differently? And you're not understanding the long-term game here. There's a long-term plan where we're eventually going to be together and spend all the time together, but not right now. I'm going to tell y'all how you know. But first off, let me just go back to how you know, or at least why this may be the case. First off, and I talked about this before, survival mode. If the man is in survival mode, nothing is going to be more important than his survival. And that goes for everybody, by the way. Man, woman, child. Now, I don't think it's wise, nor am I telling you to go and avoid a man who could possibly go into survival mode, because anything can happen. What you want to say is, I need there to be a certain standard for this man to go into survival mode. If he goes into survival mode because he missed the game yesterday and he wanted to watch it, if he goes into survival mode because I tell him that dinner's going to be a little late, or maybe he needs to order in because I'm not really feeling like cooking tonight. If that pushes him into survival mode and now all of a sudden he don't care about me, my needs for weeks or months at a time, I'm good. That's not meeting the standard. But if he goes into survival mode because, a death in the family or something extreme, something very, that really, really just shakes anybody's world, then as a woman, you can say, okay, well, that's okay. I understand you going into survival mode in that way. And still, there's a boundary you can't cross. And there's a way that you come back into the relationship out of survival mode at some point. But what you have is a lot of guys who will immediately go into survival mode because they are walking wound. Literally anything pushes them to a point where they don't think about their values, their commitments, their principles. They're strictly thinking about making it from one day to the next, or making it from 1 hour to the next, in which everything else gets put on the back burner. And so you need to ask those questions to kind of understand, like, where's this man at? Is he so deep into his healing where everything triggers him? Because the moment anybody gets triggered, they go into survival mode. Meaning there's no way to hold him accountable. There's no way to say, hey, you said you was going to do this, that, and the other. In his mind, he's going to be thinking, well, I was going to do that except for, so if his money got him in survival mode, if his health, if his drama with his baby mama, if whatever, qualify that. Because that's one thing that's going to let you know there's no way you're going to stay a priority if you were a priority. Another reason why a man will not have you as the priority that you deserve to be is because he doesn't have priorities, period. So it's like he don't have no kind of structure. There's no level of intention in his life. He doesn't have a purpose. It's just about what's in front of him. And once it's out of sight, it's out of mind. So my ex went from love bombing to the silent treatment for days. Oh, man, I could definitely go in on that one. But when a man doesn't have any priorities in his life, you just come into that chaos. You come into that lack of structure, and you become one of the pieces that just gets thrown around, moved around, grabbed here and there in the air. So when you look at a man's life, if you can't see that for everything at least that he claims is important, I don't care what he claims, money is important, his health is important, his children is important, whatever. And you don't see any level of structure in terms of what supports that in his life, you're getting ready to come in to where he tells you you're important, the relationship is important, and nothing supports that. Nothing keeps that consistent. Nothing maintains that. But now the difference is, as opposed to his money, you got feelings. You got a soul. So as he's throwing you around and not putting you as a priority, guess what? You feel that. You're affected by that. That plays on your self-esteem. That wastes your time. And then, if you're like the young lady that asked the question that even inspired this conversation, you may go into people pleaser mode, like, how can I overcompensate? How can I overgive and supplement for what he's not doing? More than go halfway. Instead of him meeting you halfway, coming to you, you just going and chasing him. Sabina says when they withhold love and affection as punishment for trying to hold them accountable. Let's make that the next point. That's another reason why a guy would not have you as a priority, is because honestly, it was never, the only priority was putting you in a space where he could punish you. That's the only reason why he did that was to give you something, basically hook you, to give you something to sink your teeth in, give you something to get attached to, fall in love with in terms of the version of him that now becomes a power move for him to have power over you. So now whenever you do something he doesn't approve of, snatch it away. That's what we talked about recently. We talked about the heart posture of a man. So whenever you're dealing with a man who gives you things, what is his heart posture? Is it that he really wants to contribute to your life, make your life easier, put a smile on your face, or he wants to have some type of equity to snatch away from you? He wants to make that a chain, strings attached, so that now that you have it, it's like, she can't live without it. It's going to pain her to lose that. Heart posture. And what you have is a lot of guys who would treat you like a priority, and the whole reason they did that is so you could feel it, and then they can make you lose it, should you ever disappoint them. Now, let's talk about how to know you are a priority to a man. The number one sign you are a priority to that man is if he regularly integrates you into his purpose. I'm going to break that down, because the first thing he has to have is a purpose. You cannot be a priority to a man who doesn't have a purpose. Derek, what do you mean by that? What if he just really loves me and loves me? No. Okay, look. If a man just loves you, right? Feels good about you, romance, hard eyes, that's what it is. You are a priority so long as he feels like that. But what's really the priority is how he feels. And in the moment he don't feel good about you, he's actually going to just push you away. It won't be survival mode. It won't be because there are no priorities in his life in general, but His whole priority is whatever it is he's emotionally, impulsively led to do, that's what gets his attention. But guess what? In a long-term relationship, you're going to fall in and out of love. I don't know any couple married 20, 30, 40 years that said the entire 30, 40 years they liked each other, they got along, never had a falling out, nothing. So if you're with a man and he's led strictly by that romance and da-da-da-da, he doesn't have a purpose in his life, you're not going to remain a priority. When it feels good, when it's convenient, when it's comfortable. If you're with a man that's just running from pain, you'll be a coping mechanism until, again, he gets out of survival mode. You see, there's a survival mode that makes a man say, oh, I can't deal with you. I got to deal with everything else. Then there's a survival mode where a man comes to you because you're his coping mechanism. You're what he uses to run away from all of the healing that he needs. Survival mode, either way, just gets you used or neglected. There's no in between. There's no just a love that comes from an unhealthy place. So when a man is running from pain, but he's running to you because of your nurturing spirit, you got money and he ain't got no money, or whatever the case is, yeah, as long as he needs you, you'll feel like a priority. Because running from pain is just a survival mechanism. Okay? But when a man is led by purpose, because you should never replace a man's purpose. Here's the thing. As a woman, you can and should be, to an evolved man, a priority, but not a replacement for his purpose. And a lot of women got that mixed up. They see the movies, they read the books, and it's like the man's whole world revolves around a woman. You don't want that. I know it sounds good on the outside. You don't want that. You don't want the man's whole world to revolve around you. Because what are y'all anchored in when you're not okay? What are y'all anchored in? What makes you feel safe? You will not respect a man if you notice that his whole day revolves around you. So what's important is for that man to have a purpose. Hey, this is purpose in a nutshell. This is why God put me here on this earth. And I'm going to do everything in my power every single day to manifest that into a reality. That's the purpose of a man. So if the man came and said, God put me on this earth to pour into young men, to help them keep self-esteem high, even though they may come from some troubling circumstances, or his purpose is to bring jobs to the world, or to end world hunger, or to cure cancer, whatever his purpose is, don't really matter. Spread the word of God, right? Like, just pick one. You can only be a priority to a man who has that established. And this is the number one sign you are. When he has that established and he integrates you into that purpose. Now, does it mean he uses you? No. What's going to happen is for a man who is purpose-led is he knows for anything that comes to support his purpose is going to require an investment from him. In order for this to work, if I want to get to work every day using this car, I know I got to keep the oil changed. I know I got to keep it gasoline. I want to keep it clean, good condition, right? Because my purpose is to get to work. And for this to work properly, I have to do this. If you're integrated into a purpose-led man's life, he knows the properly loved version of you is the one that's going to get him to that purpose. That's what you want. Only the properly loved version of you will do. Because the thing is with a woman, you improperly love her and it becomes really difficult to get to your purpose. Well, a lot of guys have a woman that's sabotaging and all this other stuff. She was improperly loved. But you know that you are a priority to that man when whatever it is that he does, he integrates you. He looks to get your feedback for the things that don't have anything to do necessarily with work or career, like that kind of purpose. He still says, okay, how can I show a level of consideration? Because ultimately what I'm producing is a version of this woman. I'm nurturing a version of this woman because that's what's going to pour back into me, ultimately into my purpose. And that's the number one thing. Every man that has a purpose, this is his mission in life. It ain't about me no more. It's about my purpose. Maybe his purpose is to break generational curses in his family, whatever it is. So if you get with a man and he only likes to deal with you when it's convenient, he only wants to bring you into everything except what's already a priority before you got there, his purpose or his children, his lifestyle, etc. But, outside of that, you're not yet a priority. But when you get a man and he got something that he's so gung-ho about every single day and he brings you in, He want to know how do you feel about this? I'm thinking about this. And he's allowing you to be that person that he bounces ideas off of. Or the person that he goes to after a long, hard day of pursuing that, taking whatever comes with that. And your purpose may be to help him recharge from going after his purpose. That may be how he keeps you as a priority. Again, not in survival mode, because he knows that if he never recharges you, he can't get recharged from you. If he only uses you, you end up running dry. You end up running empty. And any purpose-led man understands, if I got an empty vessel beside me, like, that's only going to hurt me even more. The number one way, so as you say, I need more time, I need more dates, I need more this, you're talking to a man who looks at that and says, okay, I cannot be purpose-led and jeopardize my purpose at the same time. This is my biggest asset. Properly loved version of her, biggest asset. Let me see. It's one of those things. YouTube got cut out, so I hate it for him. But the number one sign, because here's the thing. When you are not a priority to a man, you're going to ask him for things, and it's going to feel like he's going to be like shrugging his shoulders. So what? I don't care. For what? Oh, I'll do it. If he's truly purpose-led, he ain't going to just talk about it, because he sees himself every single day. Now, this is why you want to look for a man who's purpose-led, not driven by an avoidance of pain, not driven by this addiction to pleasure or romance, but a man who says, I got a purpose every day. That's the only man that you could truly remain a priority to. You will not replace that, but you will never go months without a day or feeling loved or feeling cared for or feeling considered or feeling included. You will not have to sit there and beg him to set appropriate boundaries with other women who come to threaten your safety and security in a relationship, because that's not the properly loved version of you. And ultimately, that can't help him toward his purpose. That may look different depending on the purpose. So, for instance, if a man has you as a priority, but he's chasing his purpose, that don't mean he's going to call you every single day. Oh, no, he will call you every day. That don't mean he's going to call you every hour of the day. But you're never going to go a full day. But let's say if you voice to him, hey, I called you 6 hours ago. Yeah, baby, I was busy. He knows he can send a text. He knows he can do something. Purpose-led man that has you as a priority is going to say, okay, I cannot talk to you all throughout the day, but if you call me, text me, or I can check in with you to let you know I see your text or what I'm doing or when I can hit you back, I can do that. And you'll see the changes. You'll see the adjustments. Because any man who's purpose-led is becoming, he's adjusting, he's being, he's growing into that purpose. When you get with a dude and he ain't making no adjustments, you're not a priority. You're a convenience. Staying the same is convenient. If something is a priority, you're going to grow and acclimate to whatever it takes to make that thing work, because it's so important. Think about when something happens, it's an emergency, right? I mean, God forbid anything bad, right? But just say an emergency. Somebody's in trouble, right? That's now the priority. And what happens with the priority? Everything else shifts around it, because that's the priority. Now, again, as a woman, you're not going to replace no man's purpose if he's purpose-driven. But as a priority, when you say, I need this to change, I need this to be different, it may not look exactly how you think it should look, but you're going to see a change. When you're dealing with a man, it feels like you're just talking to a rock. You just set me as I am. You're not a priority. You're not a priority. He deflects. You ain't this, you ain't that. Not a priority. You're not a priority. Don't give it to you straight, Dr. Dancy. Say, teachers, I got you. A purpose-driven man is going to say, okay, because purpose is still going to be a priority over you, as it should be. God, his God-given mandate while he's on this earth, okay? You're not God or the God-given mandate. I just want to be clear. I don't want to make nobody under the wrong perception of a man that you go out here and you take over his purpose. No. But because God even says, hey, look, this woman, my daughter, you gotta sacrifice. You gotta have sacrificial love for this woman. Like Jesus died for the church. You gotta be willing to sacrifice, change things around, give up something in order to nurture more in her. And he already designed you as a woman to maximize everything in our life if we're willing to do that. But what you have is a lot of guys who sit there and complain and deflect, and they think they can manipulate their way out of it. They don't realize they're shooting themselves in the foot. But this is where you got to be very careful, especially empaths out there. Be very careful not to get used by a man. Because if he's in this unhealthy masculine energy, he will look to utilize you for his purpose, but his purpose won't be given by God. It'll be given by flesh. Now I'm going to get a little too deep for some of y'all. The rest of y'all, stick with me. You see, when you got a purpose given by God, it's something that serves humanity. Because God is all about like, hey, extend me through you and how you live your life. Extend my kingdom, extend my presence, my giving, loving nature, like extend yourself. When the purpose is flesh driven, oh, I just want money so I can get more admiration. I just want approval. I just want people to look at me and admire me. I just want more power and control over people. He'll integrate you into that purpose, but it'll be in a way that uses you. Empaths, I'm talking to you especially because y'all come and your whole thing is to be so selfless. Look out, do for, give yourself. And the whole time you're being used, not utilized, not incorporated, but used for this man's flesh-driven purpose. But when you got a man that has a God-given purpose, because God says, hey, you got to treat her, no matter how you feel, you got to treat her how I said to treat her. You're going to see that as you say something, it takes on the authority of God saying it. Long as, again, it is in the realm of healthy relationship. You know, you're not saying, give me $1,000, and if you don't give it, that's you disobeying God. But if you say, hey, I'm not being made safe in this situation. The way that you talk to me, the way that you've been inconsistent, the way that you disregard me or minimize what I'm trying to tell you about how I feel, that doesn't make me feel safe. And you're genuinely coming from the heart as a woman. You're dealing with a God-given, purpose-driven man. I'm being very specific because you got to be. Y'all be saying, Lord, send me a man, and he send you just anything, or the devil sends you something. But a God-purpose-driven man, and you say what you need, it takes on the authority of God. See, people don't want to hear this, man. I ain't trying to make y'all religious and all. But look, here's the thing. Y'all can try to shoot down. I'm not religious, but that Bible don't lie. It's so practical, and this is another extension of it. Because when a man is willing to be sacrificial, y'all correct me if I'm wrong. What did he get out of you? A man is truly sacrificial. A man will sacrifice time. A man will make capacity, sacrifice energy. Every single day, he will hold space for you. If a man is truly willing to sacrifice at that level, does it make you feel safer in a relationship? Correct me if I'm wrong. Y'all tell me if I'm speaking facts or fiction. When a man says, I will sacrifice whatever I got going on now, my ego, I will sacrifice that. I'll sacrifice. My time, I will make time. No, you can't get a hold of me, job. You can't get a hold of me, homeboys. In this time space, this is for me and my lady. A man is willing to sacrifice for you. He think he right. He'll sacrifice his desire to always be right because now he wants to be connected with you and empathize and understand you. He's willing to sacrifice that thing that may have worked for him in the last chapter of his life or in other spaces, but not here. He's willing to sacrifice that. Now he gets what? The safer version of you because you know now your priority. How did you know that? Because he was willing to make those adjustments. He was willing to incorporate you into the overall goal of achieving this God-given purpose. And by way of making you the properly loved version of yourself, therefore an asset to that purpose, because now you're an asset to him, because as an asset, you maximize everything he has going on. It gets kind of hard to really break down, but this is why I went in on the other side of this, especially for those of you who are empaths, not to get caught up in guys who are not driven by the God-given purpose, but rather their flesh-driven purpose. And that's one of the traps that empaths get caught in too many times. This dude has a flesh-driven purpose, pain-driven purpose, pleasure-driven purpose. And he just wants to use you because you're the woman that's going to care for him when nobody else will. You're the woman that's not going to just turn your back on him because he's done something wrong or because he comes with certain red flags, so you're going to give him a chance. Look, do not get caught in those traps. I talk more about those traps, all of the traps, in the masterclass I just posted the encore. So if you haven't gotten it yet, click there. So right after we're done here, you can jump into another hour of free game because I really went in on that way more than I go in here. The 7 traps empaths should never ignore. Make sure you register for that before it comes down. A lot of people missed it last time and they hated it. Well, I'm putting it up one more time for those of y'all who missed it. 7 traps of impact you never ignore. But moral of the story is this. You don't need to be dealing with anybody that's making you feel like an option when you got them held as such a priority. And you're consistently doing that. If that man in good conscience can look at you burning out, look at you giving everything that you got, and still give you breadcrumbs. I'm not talking about the guy that says, hey, look, I don't have it to give you. I don't have it. This is not a good time. I'm not talking about that guy. Because that guy's actually giving you everything you need, and now you got to check your own abandonment wounds. You got to check your own, you got to check yourself, because if he's being real with you, he's giving you the ability to make your choice. I'm talking about before he uses you, by the way. But the man that sits there and does everything he can to keep you in, but never makes you feel fulfilled, gives you just enough to keep you from walking away and shutting that door for good, that's the man that I'm talking about that does not have you as a priority. And I need you guys to understand. The only reason why it's so hard to not leave a man like that is because you've convinced yourself you can't be happy without him. You somehow convinced yourself that's the grief. That's the reluctance to leave. You somehow come into agreement with the lie. You can't be happy without that man. And I'm here to tell you, one, yes, you can. Not alone, you can be happy. But I'm talking about there are guys out here who will absolutely prioritize you. If you've truly grown and you're working on yourself, you're accountable, you're a solid woman, everybody ain't got access to you, you already in the cream of the crop. Top 5% of women across the world. I'm letting you know that as a man. If that's truly you, because this ain't for everybody, what I'm saying right now. This ain't for everybody. But if you're a growth-oriented woman, again, accountable, you earn what you get, you don't take from nobody, you don't snake nobody, you are empathetic, you think about more than just yourself, you already are cream of the crop. And there are men out here who are trying to get to their purpose. Their purpose is too big for them to achieve by themselves. And they've been praying for a woman like you. But the whole time they praying for you, you know who's blocking that blessing of them coming into your life and loving you the way that you never thought you could be loved? The dude who doesn't have you as a priority. That guy that's treating you like an option, or that guy who's so infatuated with his options, he can't even focus on his choice. But those are just my thoughts. Share this right now if you feel like anything I said was true. We need more people who are really going to, in action form, stand for the truth. I'm your internet big brother trying to add value best way I can. Oh, and if you want access to that masterclass, if you want more, this ain't posted on social media, whatever, you can get access to the masterclass here, and it's absolutely free. 7 traps that empaths should never ignore. Jump on over, another hour of game. I'm talking about what I gave you straight gems. When I say game, I'm talking about I'm giving you real big brother advice, free advice on how as an empath, you can maneuver in a way that takes your power back from those who have gotten it the wrong way and keep your power from being given to those who only want to use it to hurt you. Link is right there.